In 1840, when Alexis de Tocqueville came here, he said, "America is a nation of clubs." He was coming from a nation of homos called France. But outside of that weak province, the West was a nation of clubs. The Knights of Columbus, the Know-Nothings, the Shriners. We always had these clubs, and Gloria Steinem decreed them sexist in the 80s, and that was the end of clubs. So I thought, why don't we bring this back? Why don't we have a men's club? No parameters, just dudes. You have to be born male, by the way. And believe it or not, that has actually come up. I've had bull dykes come and go, "Can I be part of this?" Sorry, no. Why not? We're never going to use this. And I go, yeah, just go to the Proud Boys girls and you'll be the most masculine one there as opposed to the most feminine man that we have in our club. Anyway, I gave away the name. But I started a men's club called the Proud Boys, and we have one caveat, and that is you have to be a Western chauvinist. Now, liberals are lazy, so they hear the word chauvinist and they assume male chauvinist, and that's why I use that word, because they're too lazy to look it up, and it just means a nationalist, a patriot. And you have to think the West is the best. And it exploded. There's thousands of members all over the world. There's Proud Boys Africa, there's Proud Boys Japan, we've got about 5 different divisions in Australia, and I just made it up. Like we're called Proud Boys because I went to one of my kids' music recitals and some ponce got up there, and while everyone's playing the piano and the violin and doing stuff they tried, he gets up and he goes, "Proud of your boy, I'll make you proud of your boy." It's some song from Aladdin. And I was looking around for the dad because I thought there's no way this dad is proud of his boy. And of course, he was the child of a single mom. Duh. His mother told him, "Yeah, sing a song, that's a talent." And there was no dad to say, "No, you're not. Play the piano, for Christ's sakes." So we made up these rules. There's, just like the Knights of Columbus, there's first degree, second degree, third degree. What's the second degree, Gav? And I went, you have to get beaten up by 5 men for how long? Until you can name 5 breakfast cereals. Done. Third degree. What's the third degree, Gav? You have to quit porn and get a tattoo. Done. It's massive. I was saying to Ann Coulter the other day, I'd love to have you come and do a talk at one of our meetups, but you're a woman. I don't know how to do that. Maybe you could wear a burqa or something. Or you could do a video. And she goes, "I don't want to come to your club. I don't want to ruin that." She goes, "My father was in these kind of clubs, and one day they just disappeared. And what did men do? They were told it was sexist to congregate, so they went to strip clubs." Now, there's women there, but there's no ladies there. And you can fart, and you don't have to pull out chairs for anyone. You can tell offensive jokes, and this is considered a crime in today's day and age. And they tell us that we're racist and we're anti-Semitic. And I go, "What about this black guy who's a member and this Jewish guy who's a member?" And they go, "They're racist and anti-Semitic." So this black guy's a white supremacist? Yes, he is. Well, that's handy. He can just sit at home and punch himself in the face all day. Like, I used to call it fake news, then I called it crazy news. It's crazy ex-girlfriend news. And these liberals are like, they're psychotic, calling black guys racist and Ben Shapiro a Nazi. I'm scared of them. I'm scared of them like a drunk chick. You know how she's just on the, right at any moment, she could start scratching your face and smashing balls, and you're like, "Hi, you should probably get a cab at some point." That's how we are with the left. And I did a talk at NYU, and they said, "Okay, what you're doing over there is obviously very dangerous." What? I'm just doing a speech that I like Trump, not Hitler. Trump is Hitler. So they go, we have a secret back door you can take, and then we'll have security escort. I go, I'm not a pedophile. I'm not there to talk about how sexy teenage boys are. I'm talking about how sexy America is. I go, no, we're going through the front. So we walk through this mob of Antifa, and we start singing, proud of your boy. And they're going, Nazi, fuck you. And I'm going, I'll make you proud. And they blast me with pepper spray. And then I'm the only one allowed in, and my guys are left to fight. And here's the crucial part. We do. We beat the crap out of them. And I couldn't see. I had been whisked in, but I talked to two of our guys who were arrested, and I go, how was that? Are you okay? And they go, it was really, really fun. They said, violence doesn't feel good. Justified violence feels great. And fighting solves everything. So we said, you know what? We're not going to pick fights, but if they pick fights with us, we're going to finish them. And so we go to Deplorable, and they had published a hit list of people they're going to kill, basically. They don't want to hurt us. They don't want to silence us. They want us dead. So I notice I'm on this list, and I see them talking on their phone saying, yeah, they're coming down now. And I think, we're in a climate where it's just such a given that the right is evil and the right are all Nazis. They can just sit there and talk on their phones about how they're going to get us. Yeah, here he is, he's walking. So I grab that guy's phone, I throw it away, I just lick his face. And I shove him. And he's like, did you just lick me? And then I start marching into and they're throwing feces. They're like monkeys. They're throwing feces at us and bottles of urine. And we have tuxedos on. It's a ball. So we're like, you're disgusting, sir. And then this kid walks in front of me with an anarchist flag, and I shove him out of the way, and he goes, do you want to go? And I go, yes, actually, I would. And I smash him in the face. And I cut my knuckles on his teeth because he was so shocked that someone was punching back. So the face I punched was going, boom. And off to the ball we go. And I talked to Anne about it, actually, afterwards, and she goes, I was so elated to see that punch, because it went viral. And she said, conservatives never punch back. And I thought, how bizarre it is that this is a revolutionary act. Having a men's club, they used to be ubiquitous, and now it's some sort of terrorist threat. And it's considered so shocking to want to defend yourself. I was talking to a New York Times reporter, Alan Foyer, and he said, have you ever considered just sitting there and taking the beating? That would be a great statement. No. I'm not doing that. You can do that. I'm not a freedom rider. And these people that we're up against aren't a bunch of rednecks from the 60s. These are crazy ex-girlfriends. You look at the things that get confiscated by the cops, like the Portland Antifa, and there was a knife that's a T-shape. Like, a normal knife isn't good enough for you? You need a T-grip to really get into my jugular and cut my head off? No wonder you're in bed with ISIS. No wonder the far left is so happy to join jihadists in their crusade to burn America to the ground. You're deranged. Trump derangement syndrome is real. So it's sort of like the trans bathrooms where you say, why do you think it's such a big deal that someone else is in your bathroom? And I go, it's not a big deal, but I'm going to stay and fight it. It's like if you said you were me. That doesn't really bother me, but I'm not going to let you do that. You're not me. So I'm not playing your game. And if you think it's a revolutionary act to have a men's club, okay, it's a revolutionary act. If you want to come and attack me and pepper spray me and fight me, and they do every day. I mean, just yesterday, one of our guys in the Vancouver Proud Boys goes to take a pee. He's alone. 4 Antifa jump in there with baseball bats. They mash up his face. He's alone. And he comes out and he says to the staff, you called them, didn't you? And she goes, I don't know, maybe. And she goes, call the cops. And she says, no. And she goes, you make me feel unsafe with this black and yellow shirt. And then the story came out just while I was over there. Ezra showed me on his phone, and it said, Proud Boys make staff of bar feel unsafe. Yeah, the guy with his face hanging off made you feel unsafe. Sorry about that. Won't happen again. But instead of being thwarted by all this conflict, we find it kind of inspiring. It's kind of fun. These people are so soft after being placated for all of Obama's term that they're easy prey. When we fought these guys, these Antifa kids in New York, who are all just professors' sons, who are Marxists because daddy told them to, I mean, it feels sexist to beat them up, because when you punch them, it feels like a girl. Their faces just cave in. It's like paper mache. In fact, one of our guys we nicknamed Friar Tuck, he said, I felt bad as I was plowing through them. It's only fun to beat up the first three. The subsequent ones chip away at your soul. So the moral of the story is, we're going to continue being normal, because that's a revolutionary act. We're going to continue being proud of ourselves. We're going to continue getting married, living in the suburbs, having kids, and loving America. And if that's a revolutionary act, then I'm a revolutionary. Thank you very much.
The executive director of the advertising firm Saatchi & Saatchi has been put on leave after claiming that the debate about sexism in the workplace was all over. Kevin Roberts said he doesn't spend any time thinking about gender issues, despite the fact that just 11.5% of advertising agency directors are female. Well, he said women's ambition was not vertical, but rather an intrinsic circular ambition to be happy. So women say, we are not judging ourselves by those standards that you idiotic dinosaur-like men judge yourself by. I'm just not worried about it, because they are very happy, very successful, and doing great work. And he concluded that he couldn't talk about sexual discrimination because his company had never had that problem. Well, joining me now to discuss this, The Guardian's columnist Dawn Foster and Peter Lloyd, author of Stand By Your Manhood. Welcome to you both. If I can ask you first, Dawn, is Kevin Roberts correct in saying that the debate about sexism in the workplace is entirely over?
No, not at all. I mean, I genuinely think at this point, the fact that he's been made to leave so quickly shows that we're finally getting to a point where it is being taken seriously. I think it just shows a complete lack of responsibility to say that the reason why there aren't that many women in top spots is because they don't want it enough. It's simply because of structural sexism that starts, in schools, carries on for universities, and we see it in all aspects of society. I mean, the fact that we have Theresa May as only the second female Prime Minister shows that we still have a problem. Whereas somebody like Kevin Roberts, for instance, would point at her and say, look, there's one woman at the top. Clearly, she's the only woman who's ever wanted it, and there isn't a problem. But I think the fact that Saatchi & Saatchi have been so quick to push him out and make light of the fact that his comments are very, very unnecessary shows that we might actually be getting somewhere, and his sort of views are increasingly being seen as antiquated rather than the ones that he described as antiquated.
Peter, do you agree with the views of Kevin Roberts?
Surprisingly not, no. With Kevin Roberts, yes, I do. I don't agree with Dawn's comments. I think, what he was saying is true. Men and women are biologically different, and they have different life choices. What he was actually saying in his comments were that the reason a lack of women at the top isn't a problem at Saatchi & Saatchi is because they have the opportunity to be there, and they haven't taken it. These are choices that women should be free to make, and men should be free to observe them without fear of a witch hunt. It's as simple as that.
Do you think, though, that he can realistically speak for all the women at Saatchi & Saatchi and speak for them and voice their opinions that they're not wanting to aspire to more senior positions?
Well, he was just speaking in a general term. He was just having a relatively casual conversation with a journalist. And it's clearly been spun all out of control. It's almost been manipulated on Twitter into this very predictable furore, which is just ridiculous. It's predictably irrational. What he was saying reflects the majority of women's attitudes to work and family. They have a different approach to balance, to having children and having a career. It's something that men don't have. And he was just stating a fact and his experience. The fact that he has been suspended from his job is shameful. It's ridiculous.
I suppose it's quite a simplistic argument, the one that he put forward. I mean, he doesn't account for the fact that women have to think about childcare, but perhaps that has a bearing on where they aspire to be in their careers. He didn't really come across or mention that, did he, Dawn?
No, not remotely. And I think that, Kevin Roberts' argument and Peter's argument is very, very simplistic. I mean, a lot of women are extraordinarily bored of people like Kevin, people like Peter, telling us what we want constantly. A lot of women I know have worked in advertising, some at Saatchi, and they found it absolutely unbearable. They found it rife with sexism, rife with overt sexual discrimination, harassment, but also a kind of sexism intrinsic in the hiring and firing that happened. And also, the problem is at the moment in Britain, childcare is very expensive. Women biologically carry children, so often they find that it's almost impossible for them to go back to work afterwards. I've spoken to dozens of women who have had to take their employers to tribunal because they've been sacked while pregnant, etc. And these women want to go back to work. They want to be the breadwinner, and they want to work and provide for their children that way rather than be at home.
Well,
but actually, society isn't going to let them.
They can do that if they want to.
No, they can't, because they have been sacked from their jobs. Once you've been sacked from a job, you can't go back in. That's as simple as that. And statistics have borne this out. More women than ever have been let go because of pregnancy discrimination. Discrimination exists even if you don't want it to, Peter.
Well, that is a slightly separate issue. What we're talking about is there a secret glass ceiling? Is there a secret plan to keep women down? No, I hate to break it to you, it's not all about you. It's not all about women. People just want to get on with their jobs and have successful careers.
But Peter, how then do you account for the low numbers of women in these senior positions then?
Well, for exactly what Mr. Roberts said, life choices. There are plenty of professions where women dominate. Look at medicine, look at veterinary science. If women want careers and
if you look at veterinary science and medicine, actually, once they get to 40, women are forced out yet again. If you look at Jeremy Hunt's... Yes, if you look at Jeremy Hunt's, contract, one of the main reasons why people were angry with it was because it discriminated against women. Women are often forced out as soon as they have children because they can't afford childcare and because they're often sacked or dismissed.
Peter, you're shaking your head, but there are examples of women who really testify to this story of not being able to return to work and being treated differently because they've decided to start a family. Even women that have attended job interviews and been asked illegally whether they wanted to start a family.
Well, I think it's this kind of conversation is, and the rhetoric that we hear from feminists all the time, is so patronising to the plenty of women who have children and still have careers and go on to thrive. So to assume that all women are victims as soon as they have children is ridiculous.
I mean, Dawn, I will say that Kevin Roberts did actually say that at Saatchi & Saatchi, 65%, I believe he was quoted as saying, of the staff were women. So perhaps when he says that there isn't a problem in his particular field, he is being truthful.
If you actually look at Saatchi & Saatchi, this is very, very common across all fields, including journalism, where I work, etc., including medicine, etc. You basically have a kind of pyramid. So there are lots of women at the bottom, lots of women in junior roles. A lot of women I know, started out in advertising. They get to 30, 35, and they suddenly find themselves squeezed out. And this is true of most professions. It's true of journalism, etc. So, I mean, you have to look at the boardroom structure. You have to look at every single part. And basically, as you find time and again, the higher up you get, the fewer women there are there. And women want to be there. Women want to do well. Women want to achieve. But time and again, we're pushed aside. Or we're discriminated against. And instead, what we get is Kevin Roberts, people like Peter, obnoxiously and patronisingly telling us time and again what we actually want, rather than letting us get on and do our jobs.
On the contrary, I think you're the one. I think you and your fellow feminists are the ones who are patronising women, telling them that if they don't strive and they don't make the career decisions,
I haven't said that at all.
That feminists want them to, then there's something wrong with them. And so what you say instead is, oh well, we can't really blame women for making the choices that we want them to, for not making the choices we want them to. So what we'll do is we'll blame men and this
simply aren't making any sense.
Mythical patriarchy.
You aren't making any sense whatsoever. All I have said is, for women who want to strive, they're often pushed aside. Indirect and direct sexual discrimination does exist. The government acknowledge that. Women acknowledge that. But instead, I have several men telling me that the things I see every day, the things other women see every day, simply don't exist, and that is patronising.
I'm not denying the fact that some sexism exists. Of course, it does. But to say that it also exists against men, and to say that it's systematic and that every single woman at every stage of her career, when she tries to thrive, is held back by some man, is ridiculous. It's divorced from reality.
Do you guys share any common ground, do you think? Is there a solution?
I think the government are doing some good work, but I think that actually one of the big problems is post-recession, women have been hit very hard, especially women in like part-time jobs, etc., who are trying to balance work and family. And I think Jeremy Corbyn's idea about having like gender audits to look at who is paid what in companies is a very good way forward. But I also think bringing legal aid back, so women who are discriminated against can take their employers to court, would be a massive step forward.
Gender audits a good idea, Peter, or not?
Well, I mean, I think we should just cut out the middleman or woman, and we should just force women into senior roles and force them to stay there, and they are never allowed to leave, and then everyone will be happy.
I'm not quite sure you meant that, but thank you both, Dawn and Peter, for taking part in that debate. Thank you.